I'm not too sure how this looks in the glare, but I figure since I'm going to be talking about the garden, I might as well get a video of it. Since the beginning of the year, back in January, I've been kicking around a few ideas, trying to think of what I could do to make the garden a little bit more productive and a little bit better. And if you look at the garden, you'll see in the middle there are 4x4s, 8-foot 4x4 posts. They separate the line from my grapes. Now, initially when I put the garden in, the garden was about a third of the size it is now, width-wise. And there was about a 3-foot area to the right of where you see those posts, where the grapes are. And that was where the end of the garden was. And the garden's now 3 times its size, and in order to do that, I moved the grapes into the middle. I was considering a horseshoe-shaped garden, but then I figured why waste all the fence when I could just make a square. But I didn't have a good year for grapes last year, and I've been kicking around the idea, back and forth, to eliminate the grapes. And I did that. Early this morning, I went out. I took out the grapes. Those posts are going to come out once the ground thaws, which will probably be a couple more weeks. Once I can get them out, I'm getting them out. And we've decided we're going to completely redo the garden. We're going to call this kind of a reboot on the garden. And we were going back and forth with growing what we want. Things that are healthy, things that we like, things that aren't just going to sit out there and rot. We had a couple of those things last year. It's not going to happen this year. My plan is, on the left side, over here, in this part of the garden, I'm going to put a 3-foot wide, 40-foot long row. The garden is about 42, 43 feet long. That 3-foot wide, 40-foot long row is going to be all cucumbers. Maybe I'll mix in a couple gourds, but I want to have a lot of cucumbers this year. I've never had good luck with cucumbers, and I think my problem is I just needed to set up more of an area for them. And then over on the right side, which is over here in this area, I'm going to set up a 3-foot by 40-foot row of watermelons. I'm going to set up a couple different ones. I'm going to put in some sugar babies, probably going to put in a crimson sweet or two, and I'm even hoping to get a yellow watermelon or two plant in there, and then we'll harvest those as they go. And then the middle is going to be a lot of things redone. I don't know if you could see all the way in the back corner. I have back here, that little area, I have 3 raised beds I put in. They have onions and rhubarb. I'm going to move the rhubarb. The onions I think I'm going to just put in a row. They just look a lot nicer in a row. In a raised bed they don't seem to get, maybe that's part of why they're not getting big. Though I did have a lot of nutrients in them. They did grow very tall and they did look very healthy. I don't know. I'm just thinking this year I want to go with more of a row kind of setup over last. So this is my announcement. We're doing a complete reboot of the garden. And I'm going to do my best to make sure I don't plant the same thing in the same spot I planted it last year, which I don't think should be too much of an issue. I'm also hoping to make a good amount of room in between the rows, because last year we did have a big problem with space in between rows. I'm thinking with the grapes out of there, because when I had the grapes in, they kind of were in the middle. They kind of divided the garden in half, making it hard to get around. I definitely want to leave a 1.5 to 2 foot buffer in the front of the garden, and probably a 1 foot buffer in the back, just to make it easier to get around the garden itself. So this was my announcement. I'm looking at the garden, I'm thinking of the garden, and we're going to pretty much start everything from scratch this year. Still have the seeds, still have the knowledge, but we're going to try something new.